So let's connect to this. This is a little bit of a spontaneous question. But one of the questions that is really up in the air right now is the online teaching practice experience valuable?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I did my teaching practice in the Netherlands, in Groningen. And for me, the online aspect was not there that much, apart from when we went into the second lockdown, so middle of December. Then all of a sudden I did have to switch to online education, and of course then it also means that you have to be flexible, like Peter already mentioned. And for me that was one of the things, because it was relatively sudden. It did take up a lot of time, so I do think that if there is more of a focus on how to approach that as a teacher, as a student teacher, then yeah, definitely it's a valuable experience, I think.
So do you think it's important that our 4-year bachelor program includes some type of preparation and training for you to be teaching online in the future?
Yes, definitely, because that was one of the things that at first I was a bit wary whether or not it was going to be useful to have something like that. But now looking back at my own teaching practice, I do think it is something that, especially since we want to cater to the future needs of students of schools, that I do think it is important that something like that is integrated into the program, definitely.
So Max, if we were to design an aspect of this online remote teaching practicum into our 4-year program, what do you think would be the ideal length of time that someone would have an online teaching experience in the future?
So you mean if we had practicas that were specifically online oriented? Well, I think they could be similar in length to the in-person internships that we have as is, but I think maybe it would be a bit shorter, because I think at the end of the day there is almost it's not that you do less, you're still teaching of course, but I feel like there's a bit less you can learn from that than when you're actually there in person physically teaching the kids. But yeah, I agree with Tom. I think it should definitely be a focus.
So here's another spontaneous question, okay? So we have first-year students who are going to do a 2-week remote learning practicum with the school district in Wisconsin, okay? And that's going to be February 1 through February 12th. And we have 70 students who will work in pairs to log in to classrooms in Wisconsin. And what advice would you give these first-year students as they begin this 2-week remote learning practicum? They might have a chance to do a mini lesson. Most of their role is to observe the learning that is happening, okay? But thinking about what you have just gone through, what advice would you give them as they prepare for this? And this is also our teachers who are preparing our students. Okay.
I mean, it depends what they are preparing for. If they are preparing for observations, then I would say make sure that you have a clear idea of what you're going to be looking at. So, for example, thinking about having an observation schedule in place, because that makes it a lot easier for students to fill out what they're actually seeing.
Have a structure to it.
To have a structure to what they are looking at. Or
So you mean have a lesson plan, if they could?
Well, a lesson plan, yes, but what I mean with an observation schedule is it's pretty much a list where they can just fill out things that they are noticing, and those have already been categorized.
So it's not chaotic. It's not just jotting down everything that happens.
So you're observing who's engaged, who's not engaged in the
what the
lesson?
teacher does well.
Where you could, for example, say, okay, during the starter, the teacher is doing this, and this. The students are responding in this way. And then
you can also grade certain aspects of the lesson, like how good was the differentiation, how good were the plenaries and things like that. And it's
So
already
you're looking
there.
for indicators.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, those are things that I have done quite a bit during my teaching practice 3. Because that was part of my research where I did observations more specifically focused on differentiated instruction. But you could do the same thing if you are observing online classes, maybe not with a focus on DI, but then more focusing on, okay, are all students engaged? How does the teacher make sure that the students are also showing that they are learning something? So what is assessment like?
So were you in a situation where you felt like you could support the mentor teacher by giving them some feedback about or input about the lesson that helped them identify students who were struggling and maybe give them some ideas about how to work with those students? Were
Very
you
much
in
so.
that situation?
Very
And
much
what
so.
kind of what were you able to say?
So as the situation was progressing with COVID and with online teaching, the mentor teacher also had to adapt. My mentor teacher was relatively young, so he knew how to handle the technology and integrate some online things into the lessons. But I think we as student teachers have a great amount of knowledge in online platforms, which we get lessons at ITESS about integrating different online tools, and I think that is very valuable for every mentor teacher, and especially I would say if you're a bit older and you don't have as much knowledge about technology, we can be of great help to these mentor teachers. And speaking for myself, at my internship in Istanbul, I was able to integrate a lot of lessons, a lot of different tools into the online platform that was available there. And we already had experience with that. So to be able to transfer the lessons which you would normally teach and all of the different exercises into this online platform that was there for the school was greatly helpful to them. And I think I really helped my mentor teacher out. And I think that every student teacher who has experience in this and sees these possibilities can greatly help every teacher, because there is a need for this help, and there is a need for knowledge about these tools and these platforms. And
Wonderful.
I think
Wonderful.
anyone that can try to read into it, because we have the time now as well as student teachers, we can read into these tools, and that can be super helpful
You
for
can
the
do
future.
the research that
Yeah.
the core teacher
Yeah.
doesn't have time with.
Exactly.